The Truman Show is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a film about a man, Truman Burbank, who has lived his entire life completely oblivious to the fact that every single moment of his existence up until this point has been televised.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
The movie follows Truman's journey in discovering the truth about his life. Piece by piece, he finds the cracks in this lie that he's been living.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
The absurdity in this moment, as funny as it is also so unsettling. Truman and his wife were arguing about very serious stuff before this.
You can't stand me.
That's not true.
It's the first real, non-manufactured moment in Truman's relationship with her, and that's scary for her. That's terrifying, so terrifying that she decides to cut to an ad read in the middle of this person's real, actual crisis. I decided to bring this up because since this movie came out, the lines between advertisement and content, the lines between real life, real people, and actors have blurred quite a bit. We've never consumed this amount of independently produced content before, of videos that are made by people who present themselves by their first and last name, people who we feel like are real, that we can attach ourselves to, that we feel like we know them to some extent. And advertisement is a necessary part of that relationship. I cannot be doing this as a job based off of you clicking the link in the description and checking out my Patreon alone, at least at this point. Doing this without the ads that play before and during my videos, without the sponsorships that I get, would be essentially impossible. So it makes sense why we now see more and more YouTubers coming out with their own products, burgers, coffees, and an energy drink.
So delicious, so refreshing, so tempting to any guest when you bring out those familiar bottles.
Start with sugar. Gatorade has 36 grams of sugar in it as opposed to Prime's 2 grams. That is a lot of sugar compared to not a lot of sugar.
Ice cold Coca-Cola. There's no waistline worry with Coke, you know. Actually, this individual-sized bottle has no more calories than half a grapefruit.
Gatorade has 140 calories. Look at that. Prime only has 25. Prime.
The natural, wholesome blending of pure food flavors. I guess that's why everyone likes the refreshing new feeling you get.
To summarize, it's everything you love about the bottled Prime in a convenient stick pack you can take anywhere. Check your local Walmart.
Prime is a sports hydration company launched into popularity due to the involvement of Ksi and Logan Paul. The two used to have a manufactured beef in order to sell tickets to their boxing matches. And when that whole thing has run its course, they decided to develop a manufactured friendship in order to sell their energy drink.
We have created our own drink company. Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Hydration. We are officially business partners. We are no longer rivals. 2022, baby. The year of love. We've come together. JJ, it's a fucking honor.
It's the year of love, baby, and I can't think of something more lovely than a fresh hydration drink made by friendship, 2 grams of sugar, 25 calories, and a shit ton of artificial sweeteners. Obviously, Grumbo and I don't actually know if the two have a real friendship or not, but personally, I also don't really care. What is actually interesting is the way that the two have used and shifted the way that their personal relationship is seen by the public as a key selling point for so many things. The reason the two of them have managed to popularize YouTube boxing to that extent is because what they sold wasn't the event itself. It was their beef that they were having at the time. Same thing about Prime. You're not buying an energy drink, you're buying their friendship. Aww. Which, you gotta admit, that's pretty lovely, Grumbo. You gotta admit that at least. Yeah, no, I mean, people seem to really love it. Them being partners is the biggest W this year. From rivals to lovers. Wow. The things that they're talking about in this announcement video have barely anything to do with the product itself or the value that it provides. While later promotions will address these elements, this video, the first one, is solely to do with emotions.
Prime Hydration to rival some of the biggest companies on earth.
Yes.
Pepsi, Coke, Gatorade. Powerade.
We're against literally all the big companies, alright? Us little guys.
Selling this David and Goliath story, this tale of billion-dollar companies in a war against the little guy, the tiny little guy, which I guess here refers to two dudes with tens of millions of dollars, humanized this bottle of juice. It created a brand connection that even a company like Coke could only dream to achieve. It led to one of the most insane reactions to an energy drink that I've ever seen in my whole life.
These people who literally look mind controlled, as though there's been a famine and they're there to get a bag of rice.
What we come for, boys?
Right.
Well, how much have we spent, boys? 1,000. 1,000 pounds, and he just bought all this for Christmas present, yeah?
Yeah. It shows how easily society can be manipulated to follow a crowd.
Oh, boys! We want boys!
And look at this, everyone got going for Prime. Look how many there is people. There's so many people going for Prime. Unreal.
Yeah, this doesn't taste nice at all. Obviously, you know, different people can have different tastes in things. If you, for example, really enjoy the flavor of cough syrup, this is probably for you. And, you know, that's fine. You can like this bad drink. But there is no drink in the world that would elicit this sort of response out of me. It's as if they're in a zombified state. What the hell do they think is gonna happen if they're not gonna be able to get this drink? People are standing in the cold British weather just to get their hands on this, a Gatorade competitor. This isn't Yeezys. The mere scarcity of this product makes people believe that this thing is worth a lot more than it actually is. People are selling this thing for like tens of dollars or pounds on eBay, and the reason that they're fine with selling it for that price is because there are actual people who are buying this shit.
Where have you come from? Mansfield. What made you come all the way from Mansfield?
Prime. To get these cans of Prime.
You're the first people to get these 3 cans of Prime from Mansfield, and how much have you spent?
300.
£300, yeah, bless you.
Why would you admit that? That's so embarrassing. It's insane that we've been conditioned into thinking that the mere concept of consumerism is that fun. Influencers and celebrities have just broken us down bit by bit, and this is the result of that. Remember when Jake Paul made a whole song brainwashing children into buying his merch? He won. Him and influencers like him have brainwashed an entire generation of kids to consume things non-stop and to celebrate the fact that they're consuming things. This is why we're now seeing so many people who have completely decided to leave the idea of shame at home as they trample over each other trying to get this cough syrup ass tasting drink. It's reaching new heights every day. There are now YouTubers who are making what is essentially ads for Prime for absolutely free, and people are loving it.
In this video, I'm going to be making the world's largest Prime hydration drink.
Recently, Logan and KSI shocked the world by releasing their own drink company called Prime Hydration.
I always found it fascinating to see the differences between art across religions. In Islamic art, we see all these beautiful, mesmerizing patterns. The way Christianity utilizes a lot of gold makes these pieces feel like larger than life. And with this, wow, you can't really ignore the fact that these pieces of art are quite similar to one another. They have a lot of similar themes going on. All of them have these beautiful blue skies, these empty fields, giving us this feeling of calm, of nurture, and the only element that stands out within that stunning emptiness is the one thing that we need to focus on: Prime, the product of pure goodness and hydration. While it does stand in the middle of this field of nothing, it doesn't interrupt it. It rather just stands on top of it as something that is greater than anything that we usually see. Something to be admired and looked up to. Surprising Logan Paul with a Prime golf cart. I built KSI and Logan Paul a Prime car. I don't know if they're so rich. I don't think they need these things. World's smallest Prime for KSI and Logan Paul.
Nice?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Go ahead, have a load of that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that one.
Every single one of them is probably like the nicest drink I've ever had of that flavor.
Yeah.
Then the nicest drink you've ever had of any flavor. I don't know if I believe that. And we also have I Built KSI and Logan Paul Giant Prime Bottles by Matthew Beem. Yes, the Matthew Beem of On My Island fame.
What's up, Jimmy?
On My Island is buried a treasure chest.
Of course, this is the video that we're actually going to talk about. It has 6 million views, which is kind of insane. Something like that could cost a company something in the, I don't know, high 5 figures, maybe even 6. But in this case, he just did this out of the goodness of his heart. He made this ad for free.
Luckily, after a bunch of phone calls, we found a store 4 hours away that had some Prime. We ended up buying every bottle they had. I've never been so excited in my life.
The video in itself is insanely funny. For some reason, Beem and his team have decided to make 5 of these comically large Prime bottles, and they like try to get them through airport security. They walk around with them in the streets of London. They even take them underground.
Once again, it was time to take the giant bottles on the train. The worst part is everybody just got off work, so there's so many people on the train station. Go, 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 go. We're blocking all of the exits.
At this point, I think I'm just a fan of his videos. This is ridiculous. The goal of this video is ridiculous. They travel across continents just to do what? Give KSI an ad to his own product? To this product that he's investing in? While trying to contact the guy, they had to stay a few days in London with these huge bottles. They even had like little hotel beds for them to sleep in. They were essentially little characters in a commercial for a few days. Luckily for them, they eventually did manage to get in contact with KSI, who mainly just seemed very confused that they decided to do all of this, but nonetheless, he thanked them and then brought the bottles on stage.
He even brought our bottles on stage and everyone freaked out.
I don't see the Prime.
And because of the success of this mission, one of Matthew Beem's friends was even dared to jump into the River Thames, which is a horrible idea.
We're giving you the bottles tonight at his concert.
So that means you gotta jump in with your little bird friend.
Excuse me, sir. Drink Prime. It's so cool.
According to the NHS, swimming in the River Thames can carry a risk of gastrointestinal illness. The Thames receives untreated sewage from 57 combined sewer overflows, with many discharging dozens of times per year, particularly during periods of heavy rain in the winter. You know, I'll be honest, I'm not even fully sure what the first part means. What I do understand, though, is that this man jumped into... He jumped into and water for Prime. He jumped into sewage water for a company that he's not working for this company. He's not owning it. Both of these things would still be a weird reason to jump into the sewage water. But he just did it for someone else's company.
Excuse me, sir. Drink Prime.
This has nothing to do with him. Sewage water. Am I losing my mind here? These free promotion Prime videos, these religious rituals, are some of the best performing content on any of these channels, and for that reason, I don't really blame these people for making them, especially the smaller guys. I think, you know, when your channel is small, it makes sense to take any sort of leg up that you can. But it is just weird. I think we can all agree about that. It is weird, and it's odd, and it's unsettling. Why it's sewage water for someone else's...
Drink Prime.
Although you could say that making these videos carries very similar ethical problems to undisclosed advertising, for example. These videos push this product in such an unrelenting way. They make statues for it. They build cars for it. They say that it's so good all the time, no matter what.
Try the Prime.
Why is everyone so close to me?
Because we've been waiting to try this forever. We're excited. Everyone on the team loves Prime, but we have another huge problem.
And they're doing all of that without disclosing the fact that this is an ad, essentially. And the reason as to why they're not doing that is because why the hell would they? It's not an ad. KSI and Logan Paul probably didn't pay a lot of these guys to do what they're doing. This is just content that people want to see. The thing that they're serving is the algorithm and the algorithm alone. The people want to see this celebration of Prime. They want to see these montages of people trying this thing and immediately falling in love with it. When I see this, the burning question that's on my mind is, do people actually like being advertised to? And if so, how do you get to this point?
I mean, not to start spiraling, but like, I've been on YouTube for so long, and like, the amount of money all these young YouTubers are making right now from merch stuff, because like, the fact that that's a real thing, nobody's ever told me that you could make that much money from selling a shirt, because I always am like,
This moment is one of the more fascinating things I've ever seen in a YouTube video. It's part of Shane Dawson's makeup documentary, an 8-hour-long awful series with over 150 million views. It's supposed to follow Shane as he delves into the secret world of the makeup industry. In reality though, that's not really what happens. This 150 million view series is just an ad. It's an 8-hour-long ad to Shane and Jeffree's new makeup product.
I would love for it to be kind of like showing all of this, right? This whole process, this phone call, literally everything, and kind of making it be like, because I've never worked with a store ever, right? I've never even sold stuff, so.
The advertising of this palette is about Shane Dawson, his success, the fact that he is supposed to make more money, and that we are supposed to cheer him on as he does exactly that.
I'm gonna cry. This is like, I'm sorry. I've never, and I know it's because you're my friend and stuff, but I've never had, like, I literally, in my 12 years on YouTube, I've never had anybody say, you deserve that, or...
This makeup palette could have been empty as far as these people cared, because Shane managed to get over 100 million people to view this series of ads as content. It made these people root for him, to think that they need to help him out in a way. Part of the reason as to why people have this almost parasocial relationship with this bottle of juice is because they view this bottle of juice as an extension of a person that they really like. We follow these YouTubers, their stories, the lore that they created around themselves, and that makes us want to support them in anything that they continue on doing.
Help me understand, honestly. We made a better for you drink that tastes better.
Yeah.
So why would we not overtake Gatorade eventually? There needs to be like I don't know what it's like, a consumer and like cultural shift regarding hydration beverages that like we have to lead.
Words like these are said so you can connect a real emotion to this brand. He says it so earnestly as well. It looks like he actually believes it. I think he does. He believes this idea that if you buy Prime, you're actually joining this revolution, this massive change. Buying a product that these two multi-millionaires get a cut from is a form of activism. And I know it's this feeling of honesty that he's showing that sells us this idea, because on the surface, what he's saying is stupid as hell.
It needs to be like I don't know what it's like, a consumer and like cultural shift regarding hydration beverages that like we have to lead.
A cultural shift regarding hydration beverages. What? He's talking about this as if this is a change that he needs to lead. You know, him and KSI didn't want to be the ones in charge of the cultural shift regarding hydration beverages, but they had to take them. They simply had no choice but to lead the cultural hydration beverage shift. This responsibility was thrust upon them. The millions that they're gonna make are just like a fun little bonus, I guess. The sports drink market is a duopoly at the moment, dominated by Pepsi and Coca-Cola. The two buy every new company that makes any sort of dent in the market. And while I personally don't really like Prime, there are a lot of people that do, or just buy it because they see YouTubers tell them that they really like it. If this company keeps growing at the rate that it does, it's safe to assume that it might eventually get bought out by one of the two. Because obviously this cultural shift stuff is a load of nonsense. I feel stupid even having to say this out loud. This is a non-existent cause that nobody cares about. Even if Logan Paul and KSI decide that this righteous battle that they're fighting against Coca-Cola and Gatorade is more important than any form of money whatsoever, you know, they only own about 20% of the company. Let's talk a bit about Congo Brands. Who are we? Congo Brands is at the epicenter of where consumer demand meets product development. E-commerce becomes the laboratory for consumer feedback and serves as a data pool for future retail endeavors. Simply put, a lot of phenomenal products fail, not for the lack of utility or function, but rather their brand appeal. Congo Brands is the company that is actually behind Prime, if you didn't know. The way that this works with a lot of these influencer-made products is the fact they're not made by influencers in any way. You know, they get approached by another company, they're like, oh, you would be a good fit for this and that product that we already have, and then the influencer becomes the face of it, so they can make a boatload of money. While it should be obvious for anyone above the age of 10 that KSI and Logan Paul never sat in a lab to create the perfect formula for Prime, they do try to give off the idea that this is a brand that they made, and they do that by saying it.
And we've created a hydration beverage. Like, bro, I drew this on a piece of paper and now it's on a bottle that is being distributed in the following stores.
He managed to draw this on a piece of paper. That's really impressive, Logan. What did he do? Did he just write the word Prime on a piece of paper? Is that what he's talking about? I mean, if so, well done. That's a lot of letters. With the way it works on YouTube, these brands are so integrated with these people's personalities and stories that no one really bats an eye when KSI walks around with a chain that says Prime on it. While it would be pretty odd and funny if Elon Musk walked around with a Twitter chain. It's why every time we see someone say that Prime might not be their favorite thing in the whole world, it gets reported on as a direct diss against two of the people who decided to invest in this thing.
It's like swallowing perfume. What is that? What to give out of 10? Zero.
It felt almost refreshing to see a person talk about this bottle of drink and not refer to it as God's gift to Earth. The reason as to why he didn't do that is because Gordon Ramsay is not a YouTuber. He doesn't need to play this little game to succeed. He's fine. Before this, it really felt like no one wanted to say that the Emperor's new sports drink is cough syrup.
I wonder how long it actually took them to like.
Yo, actually, hats off to Logan Paul.
Everyone on the team loves Prime.
It tastes so good for how healthy it is.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
The ways YouTubers push products are just going to become more and more advanced, in my opinion, as time goes. I've recently seen this mrbeast video where he goes to Antarctica with a bunch of his friends, and during the video, he decides to climb this one very snowy mountain.
See that mountain right there? Yes! It currently does not have a name, and everyone knows that if you climb a mountain, you get to name it. Who wants to join me?
They climbed this thing in the freezing Antarctica weather for about 4 hours. Eventually, we see mrbeast and friends as they're about to reach the top of the mountain. Suddenly, this grand orchestral music starts playing, which was apparently made by Hans Zimmer himself, one of the most well-renowned movie composers of all time. He made this song for mrbeast's video. And you know when mrbeast decides to start playing that song?
Feels like we're on a different planet. You can't convince me this is Earth. And while we climb this mountain, I want to tell you guys about Shopify, a platform that makes starting a business.
He starts playing it specifically for the ad read in the video. After he finishes this Hans Zimmer composed ad read, he then goes to the top of the mountain. This is essentially the peak of the video. And the mountain, he decides to name the mountain like he said earlier. And he could call it anything, you know? He could call it Mr. Beast Mountain. He could call it Ass Mountain. Rumbo Mountain. But instead, he decides to call it... Well, I'll let him say it.
We made it and we didn't die! We climbed the mountain! We did it! And now that we climbed the mountain, we get to name it. I think we should name it Shopify. Because to be honest, I couldn't have done it without Shopify.
They name it Shopify Mountain. They flew to Antarctica, Grumbo. They went all the way to Antarctica. They climbed for 4 hours. And the climax of that was the fact that this mountain is gonna be named
Shopify.
Jake Paul was ahead of his time with that Buy My Merch song. He realized that eventually, a song where you dress up as Santa Claus and tell kids to buy your merch again and again and again is not gonna be all that weird. And you might as well try and beat everyone else to that idea. I don't really think that this is something that's gonna improve anytime soon. I think that the lines that we talked about in this video are gonna become more and more blurry as we use the internet more and more. And I don't really want to be depressed about it, so why not bask in it? Why not enjoy it? Yes, we are living in a massive ad, and maybe that's a bit funny or something. Huh. This is really good. Thank you so much for 300,000 subscribers. This past month has been kind of insane. This is also my 100th video, and it's also been like my 7-year anniversary on this channel, so that's pretty cool. I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to explore topics that I'm really interested in, and hopefully I can keep doing this as my job. I'll be doing a little stream tomorrow to celebrate this month, and if you want to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description. This would be your help with my battle against the big guys. Besides that, from various corners of my room, I appreciate you watching another episode of The Pinely Show.